afternoon, folks. Once again, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. We're going to be talking about Biden's bipartisan successful implementation of the Respect for Marriage Act. This is the bipartisan legislation that just was passed. I believe it was yesterday. We'll talk about that. And it was passed in the Senate by a 61-36 majority, and in the House by 258-169. So in the Senate, you had 36 folks voting against the Respect for Marriage Act and 169 of them in the House. Now, virtually all of the detractors were Republicans. So, as you see, the video is titled GOP and the Respect for Marriage Act. The question I want to run by the folks here, because we talked about the Brittany Griner, the lopsided trade of Brittany Griner for the international terrorist, and folks were suggesting that she had some sort of privilege, whether it be her being African American or being part of the LGBT community or whatever the case may be, even being a woman, some might argue, that Biden was pandering to those communities. So I'm going to ask that today. If Biden pandered to the LGBT community with Brittany Griner, and now we also have the Respect for Marriage Act, which many believe, many folks suggest the Respect for Marriage Act was also pandering to the LGBT community, because that is the group who felt that their marriage rights were in the most jeopardy. So if Biden is constantly pandering to the LGBT community, my question to my GOP counterparts is, are the Republicans just simply disinterested in the LGBT vote? Do Republicans not care about the LGBT community, their causes, and what they believe is important? Looking at the comments, Jesus is the reason for the season. Merry Christmas, and remember, God loves everyone. Martina Ray, appreciate the sentiment. Happy holidays and Merry Christmas to all you folks watching. Homophobia says what did I say? Buttered hood. So are you suggesting that the GOP, are there folks who believe that the GOP, the Republican Party, is homophobic? That's what we're asking. So I'm going to go straight to the box. As I make it clear always, this is a MAGA-friendly program. MAGA are my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. No one gets censored, banned, or blocked here, so feel free to come in the box. Give you plenty of time to state your point. The fact that you may disagree with the host never means a damn thing here. I don't talk down to my guests. I don't censor you for your opinion. Going straight to the box, it is the one and only Rainy Kane on the backup account. Afternoon, Kane. We're asking a question. Has the Republican Party simply abandoned all hopes of the LGBT support?
Absolutely. I mean, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah, I said absolutely they have. I mean, and that's actually evident by all of the bills that they've passed within the states. I mean, so thank goodness this is from a federal level, that the federal government will recognize people's marriages. And I want to stand clear, it's not just about the LGBT marriages, it's also the black and white marriages. I'm married to a white man. So to me, that was most important to me, that no matter what state tries to decide black and white people can be married or whatever the case is, my marriage is not null and void just where I live. So as far as I'm concerned, it was a great thing.
So let me ask you this, with your husband being Caucasian, did your husband himself feel that if we continue going down a path where we had GOP control, that your marriage, your unity might be in danger if the Republicans had control?
Absolutely. And that's just based on what Clarence Thomas wrote in his dissent
Yeah.
during the Dobbs opinion. He said we have to look at Loving, we have to look at Ogerfield, and we have to look at the law that constitutes your ability to have contraception. Those are three laws, in my opinion, that the Supreme Court already put bulls like targets on, which means I don't trust none of these Republicans. I need my life not to be ran by the Supreme Court of 9 people who are not elected by anybody in this country.
Yeah.
Nor do I want the GOP to be able to have that much influence over my life. Again, I say this a lot on your live, but I feel like freedom and liberty is only the freedom and liberty they want everyone to have, and their definition of freedom and liberty. My freedom and liberty means just that. I'm free to marry who I want. Period. There
So
is
how
no exclusion, and screw your Bible and your religious beliefs. Sorry.
So how might you respond to members of the GOP, the Republican Party, who say this was an unnecessary issue? Like in the comments, Recordman 3366 said Biden should have been more worried about our border security than the Marriage Act. So how do you respond to people who believe that your marriage was never in danger by the GOP?
Again, the GOP is the people in the Supreme Court. That is, I mean, I don't even know how to, I mean, are we blind to all the bills that these people are passing in their states? This is actually happening. This isn't like some made up in our minds, fallacy. And so I think Biden signing the law, because if you remember, when gay people got rights to marry, it was a rule by the Supreme Court. When black people and white people got rule to be able to be married, it was passed through the Supreme Court. It was not a federal law. So to me, my government saying by federal law, the government can't tell you what to do in terms of your marriage is important. And everybody should look at it that way. I mean,
Okay,
what's
well
to say
let's
one
go.
day we get a GOP led everything when they run the House, the Senate, and the White House, and they have super majorities, and they say, Black people, you're no longer free. I mean, at what point do we stop?
But do you think they would take us all the way back to Jim Crow or even slave? You believe the GOP is capable of taking blacks all the way to the point where we're no longer free?
Absolutely. I wouldn't put it past none of these evil people.
What have you seen other than what Clarence Thomas said, in regards to we need to reinvestigate the marriage laws? And totally agree. That's a hell of an alarming thing to say. But other than that one Supreme Court justice, have you seen anything else from the GOP to make you believe that interracial or LGBT marriage was at stake?
Absolutely. Again, I can't name off the states, but I know for certain in Tennessee and Arizona and several of these other states, these people have introduced laws I mean, in Texas, think about the contraception law, where they are saying because they want to force white women to have babies. That's where this is all coming from, right? They're saying we don't even want to allow contraception in our fucking state. That is a crazy dynamic to say you can't even protect yourself against unwanted pregnancies. You ban abortions, so which means all this is forcing people to have babies.
Wow. But I get,
And there's no way around that. There's just literally no way around that. I don't understand why we are disillusioned here. I guess that's my question to you. Are you asking just to have a
I'm
conversation, or you
asking you.
truly believe that's not what they want to do?
No, I agree with you that there has been more than enough suspicious shit to believe that there. I mean, you had a woman on the House floor the other day crying, begging them not to pass this piece of legislation. So yeah, there is enough suspicious shit to believe that the Republican Party, at least from the LGBT marriage standpoint, I can't necessarily go all the way to the interracial marriage standpoint right now, but there's enough suspicious shit floating around in regards to how the right feels about the LGBT community to believe that that was in danger. Because we've only legalized same-sex marriage since 2015. So there is plenty of folks in this
But it
country that
wasn't
are not
even
on board with that yet.
But is that considered legalized? I guess it is if the Supreme Court
Yeah,
rules your marriage is equal to anyone else. But it's not a law, is my point. And we are a country of laws, right? The Supreme Court, just as like they took away women's right after 50 years, even though it was a 90% conservative judges in 1973 who passed women's rights. They
yeah.
passed it in 1973, and now these judges today are completely like, "Oh no, screw those guys. Screw the guys on my own team. We need to take away women's rights and put it back in the states." What's next? Again, where does that stop?
Well, I will tell
If you
you
think
what.
about if you think about the laws that where our schools can't be segregated, if that was a Supreme Court law, ruling, that was not a law that the
Yeah.
government established, the courts did. And so I don't put anything past these people.
Well, even President Trump himself did suggest that rolling back Roe versus Wade was not going to be helpful for the Republicans in the midterms. But Rainey, I got to move it on. I don't
Good talking to you,
disagree with
brother.
what you're saying. Yeah, good talking to you as well. In regards to comment, I do believe there is enough suspicious shit floating around, but I seen in the comments there was a comment from, I guess this says Caper. I can't even pronounce the entire name, but said there is no Republican, and no is capitalized, said no Republican ever, and ever is capitalized, going to try and block interracial marriage. So if there is no Republican that is ever going to try and block interracial marriage, why the hell are so many people upset? By the way, tap the screen. Get your boy up to 5,000 likes. There are plenty of patriots and liberals alike in here. I'll go right back to the box. Tap the screen. 5,000 likes are possible. I appreciate that. But so why are so many people doubtful if what Caper said is correct, that there is no Republican that is ever going to try and block interracial marriage? My humble opinion is because they have heard the same song and dance before. A few years back, when Trump was appointing right-wing Supreme Court justices, folks on the left were suggesting they're going to roll back abortion rights. And similar to what Caper is saying right now, they were saying that there is no chance that abortion rights are going to be rolled back. It's been litigated. Even the Supreme Court justices themselves, when they were seeking appointment, suggested that abortion had already been litigated and it was a past issue. So now that we are here and we have seen clear as day that something that has already been litigated can be rolled back, whether you think interracial marriage or LGBT marriage is at stake or not, the Supreme Court has proven that under some circumstances it actually could be rolled back. You may not think it's going to be rolled back, but they have proven that at the very least it could. Going back to the box, Aaron 6. Good afternoon, Aaron 6. And that, just like I asked the last, does it appear as if the Republican Party has simply abandoned the LGBT vote? Aaron, good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing, sir? First, I
I'm
want to
doing
say I
good.
think
I'm
you got
doing good.
one of the best lives on TikTok.
Bro,
And I want to say I
damn,
think you
thank
got
you.
like one of the best lives on TikTok, the way you treat people. And I want to say I'm like a former MAGA. I don't like what Trump did. I would still vote for him if I had to, but I'm hoping DeSantis gets in. But what you're saying, I think, is true.
What did
One
he
reason
do?
I
Real
think
quick. What did he do that you do not like? When you said that.
he acted like a toddler. He could, at the end when he didn't get reelected, he threw a temper tantrum like my 4-year-old. He could have left with some respect and definitely got reelected by a landslide if he's going by Biden. If he just let him with some respect and didn't push already emotional people to do something stupid. You know, it's
But
like you're throwing gasoline on the
the
fire.
but what about the notion that he believed he actually won and was cheated out of his place?
It doesn't matter. He was the president. The country becomes, even if he does believe it, there's a point where you're doing more harm than good to the country, and you're supposed to be the president.
Yeah,
And believe me, I
yeah,
got my Trump stuff, and I voted for him and everything else. And I think he did a lot of good, but the end just pissed me off. And I'm like,
fair
you know
enough.
what? I can't do it again. I'm Team DeSantis all the way. He got rid of most of my Trump shit after January. I don't think it's like we need to have a billion hearings about it on TV, like probably like NFL Network. But I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
Well,
But I think you're right, though.
I will tell you for folks who want to move on from January 6th, move on from the past, it does have to come from the top. As long as Trump keeps talking about it, you can't blame folks on the left for talking about it as well. But in regards to the LGBT vote,
I think you're right. I think the Republicans won. I don't know the whole situation on that vote. I don't know if the Democrats added anything into it like they did with the burn pit bill, why a lot of Republicans didn't want to vote for it because they added 52, I believe, $1 million worth of spending on shit that didn't have to do with the burn pits. But I think you're right. The LGBT community is definitely the base of the Democrats and Republicans. I just think they're more for free speech, for one. And you can see what the LGBT mafia does to people, free speech, like Dave Chappelle, you know?
yeah,
Like the
yeah,
alphabet people joke. He can make fun of black people who had way harder time in this country than anybody else. He can make fun of white people on his last special on heroin walking around like Night of the Living Dead. But if he makes fun of LGBT, listen, I watch everything Dave Chappelle does. He's like the prophet of our generation. And
right.
so he makes fun. He has the first black white supremacist, the milkman with the last name of the N-word, and that's okay, what he said on his special. But he says
Yeah,
the word
I remember that song,
F
It's
it,
the Negro
and
Family. Yeah, that was funny.
yeah, and he says the word. I don't want to get your lives, but you know the word he says, the F word. And you
Yeah,
can't say that, Dave, because you're not a F word. Well, he goes, well, Sharon, I'm not an N word either, but you let me say that on the show all the time. And I think
yeah.
that's one of the reasons the Republicans don't really fond of the LGBT community. Surgeries for minors when they believe they just
Well,
got done
wait a
believing
minute,
in
wait a
Easter
minute,
Bunny
though.
and
I have
Santa
to,
Claus.
yeah, I got to interrupt you though, because to me, the transition surgeries for minors sounds very similar to like the 9th month abortions that a lot of folks on the right talk about. I don't know where that has actually happened. How many minors have had gender transition surgery? Like an 8-year-old actually had the surgery and is post-op. I've never heard of that other than right wingers bringing it up.
I mean, I'll give you that it's a very small amount, but it has happened because you hear them talking about it all the time on the news.
I
There
haven't
are case,
I haven't heard of it
there's
at
a,
all. Just I will say this: just because you hear someone talking about something doesn't mean it's true. I've had folks, the QAnon folks. I've had somebody tell me that liberals were for 30-day abortions, meaning 30 days after you've had the kid and it's out the womb, you can still abort the child. I've had folks come and tell me that. A lot of folks are talking about that. However, I don't think there's any case at all where that's happened even once. So I'm asking the same question in regards to children having operations to change their gender assignment. I have never heard of a single surgery where an elementary school child has had a post-op transition like that. Never, not one. Aaron, did I lose you?
yeah, yeah, I'm here. I got a lag for some reason. I don't know why. But no,
Okay.
I mean,
All
I
right.
know it's happened. I can't look right now. But here, hold up. Let me.
Yeah. Let me know if you anybody in the comments if you know of any even one case in America where an elementary a child under the age of say 14, 15 or younger has had a gender reassignment surgery. I have not heard of a single case. Yet when we talk about LGBT issues, he's not the first individual to present that as a counterpoint, that they want to allow children to have transition surgeries. I've never heard of a single child having that. So I'm trying to figure out where is that coming from other than just pure fabrication. So if anybody has a name of an individual or where it's happened, feel free to post it in the comments because I'm sure a lot of
And
you have heard that.
another thing, like I know Republicans get tired of Ron DeSantis in Florida. People might think it's not a big deal, but like when they have sexualizing the children with drag shows, for Christ's sake, let's go to a drag show and you've got video. I could link videos of children in the audience throwing dollars on the bar on a drag show, and that's for 100%. And then there
But
was another.
how can a child be in a bar? I mean, just the fact that the place serves alcohol, I don't care if it's completely heterosexual, there's a different law that's being broken just by having a child in a bar.
Well, nobody enforces them. I could send you links after we're done talking where you got videos. There was this one kid. He was 14 years old. Something Desmond Dennis or Beautiful Dennis or something. That his
Uh-huh.
parents let him perform as a drag queen. You, I can. It's like that's why it might be the most extreme cases, but that's one of the main reasons why a lot of Republicans are against the alphabet people, as Dave would call
Well, well, one of the problems, okay, when you said drag show, what is a drag show to you? Is it, I mean, is it someone dressing up as the opposing gender? I mean, give me
it.
what a drag show is to you.
Somebody dressing up as the opposing gender and dancing in a sexual manner, like on a stripper pole or in a garter belt and fishnet stockings. That's what, and you can see it. I know a lot of people on your live are saying it's a fabrication, but I know you have an educated watcher. All they got to do is Google child watching drag shows. It happens all the time. I mean, it's not
Now,
research.
yeah, I understand your concern. The only thing I guess I would have to ask you is how do you respond to the actual fact that there are plenty of episodes of Bugs Bunny dressing up as a woman and kissing Elmer Fudd in the face? I mean, we've seen drag on cartoons. I mean, Tom and Jerry, they've done it. I'm talking about cartoons from the 40s and 50s. So what's the difference between letting your child watch it on a television show or taking them to a show where there's actual humans? I mean, if you see Bugs Bunny wearing a dress, acting like a woman, and kissing Elmer Fudd, and clearly the Elmer Fudd character is not wooded, it's not consensual, yet he did it. So I'm
It's
trying to figure out what's the difference.
my opinion is that it's a cartoon. It's not either your parents bring you to a place like this or a school bringing you to a library drag queen read a kid a story day. There's a big difference from an animated bunny from your school or somebody in a position of authority pushing this on people. Like I live in New York. We see it all the time. Drag queen story hour. Come see a drag queen read to your kids. Whatever happened? Why can't just a regular person read to you? Why does it have to be somebody that's dressed up as an opposite gender?
I mean, I get your
Story.
point, but I guess I'm trying to figure out. Okay, the teacher is dressed as the wrong gender, or whoever's reading the book is dressed as the wrong gender. How is that harmful to the child if watching it on a cartoon is not? I'm trying to figure out. Even though I understand your point, it's just a cartoon. But I mean, because listen, as a child, I've known since day one that I like titties. You're not going to show me a bunch of dudes and make me all of a sudden like guys. I still like titties. So I'm trying to figure out why do we have the notion that showing people opposing stuff is going to turn them gay? How much video or media would I have to show you to make you gay?
It's I don't think you can make. I'm not one of those people that.
Exactly.
I think
That's my
you're born that
point.
way. I think you're born that way. But my point is when you go from a tomboy, somebody says, "Oh, I'm a girl that likes to be a tomboy," and they say, "Well, maybe you're transgender. You should start dressing like this." Instead of letting the kid be either a lesbian or a tomboy, they push them into this transgender cult, and you can see it happening because you just look at the numbers. How many more transgender kids you have now? 30%, 40% increase over just 5, 6 years ago, and then you want to talk about what you were saying. People talk about violent video games. The more realistic they get, the more uh,
Mhm.
violence it creates. So, I mean, you can't get more realistic than an actual drag show.
Well, then based on your argument, if a realistic drag queen show has this effect on children, you should have been equally against Rambo because it'll make kids want to kill. I mean, when we were young, we wore the headbands, we had fake machine guns and everything. Based on what you're suggesting, if reality can cause a child to be groomed or act a certain way, we should have been against John Wayne, Sylvester Stallone, all of those people, right?
I just think you should wait to a certain age, not like 6, 7, 8 years old, story hour. Maybe you're in your teens, 12, 13, 14 years old, where the kids are starting to have some type of identity and can know
Yeah,
what's
but
real and what's
I
not real,
get your
what's right and wrong.
I get your point, but I'm trying to ask you based on what you're saying, if what you're saying is accurate, where we should allow the child to get to a certain age. I'm asking you, should that have not applied to shows like Rambo, G.I. Joe, and all of that? Maybe that child should get to a certain age before they feel like they want to use a machine gun or join the military.
I got a young kid. I wouldn't be wanting my kid watch John Wick at the age of like 8 or 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
A parent's got to take some responsibility too. You know, and my problem is I don't have no problem with gay people. I'm not homophobic or anything. But if anybody has a difference of opinion with the LGBTQ community, you're called a transphobe, you're called this, you're called that. They get special protections where you, as a black man, don't get, or a black person.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened, Aaron. You dropped out. Maybe he had a phone call. As I always say, I don't ban, block, or censor anyone. He did not get canceled by TikTok because they generally will let me know. Anyhow, just want to make it clear. We'll go right back to the box. I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. It's a MAGA-friendly program. I lean left. I don't mind admitting my politics. I do tend to lean left. The purpose of the hat is that I enjoy conversating with MAGA. I do believe they get an unfair play in the mainstream media. They often get censored, banned, or blocked, which is why I never do that here. I'm a huge proponent of free speech. So real quick, follow the program too, by the way. Get your boy up to 10,000 likes. Tap the screen. Don't let your thumbs be lazy. We're talking about Respect for Marriage Act. It was voted in under Biden, a bipartisan act. So for folks who say Biden is not reaching across the aisle, 61-36. The Senate, 61 in favor of the Respect for Marriage Act. There were 12 Republican senators that also voted with President Biden. 36 voted against it. In the House, 258 voted in favor. 169 voted against. So both the House and Senate, virtually everyone that voted against the Defense of Marriage Act or the Respect for Marriage Act were Republican. So today's question we're simply asking is, has the Republican Party abandoned the LGBT vote? Because almost everyone believed the primary purpose of this Respect for Marriage Act was to protect same-sex marriage. Going back to the box, it is attacking the ignorance. Absolutely love that name, attacking the ignorance. Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing, buddy? Nice to see you again.
Absolutely a pleasure. So, how do you view why? Well, give me your spiel on why so many Republicans voted against the Respect for Marriage Act. What is the problem with this act?
Because the people that support them and vote for them don't want rights for other people other than them.
That's not good. So you're saying that a lot of the Republican supporters are anti-LGBT?
They want to keep their position.
But don't you normally hear from the right that they're pro-Constitution, it's the freest country on earth, they protect freedoms? What you're saying is anti-freedom, though.
Exactly. And they will manipulate whatever they need to do to keep their $174,000 paycheck coming, whether it takes away your rights or anybody else's rights. And in regards to what the gentleman was saying, nobody's pushing anything onto anybody when it comes to the drag shows. And you have people who literally, parents have dressed up their little child as Adolf and have named them after Adolf. So yeah. That's the thing, is you're talking about grooming and so on and so forth. When you have your own parents naming you after somebody and dressing you just like that person, yeah, that's grooming. And there's no,
but that doesn't. Let's in defense of that. There's not a lot of folks that are dressing their kid up.
One's enough. One's
Well,
enough, man.
yeah, I know, but let's not pretend like a whole bunch of folks on the right are dressing up like they're in the Third Reich. I
No,
mean,
no,
there's only a
no. That's true, but you do have people on the right hand side that, like this gentleman right here, is talking about the way they're dressing, right? Um,
okay.
you have, and I love the NFL. You have
Yeah,
less clothes on the cheerleaders than you do on the shows for
on
the
on the players. Yeah, yeah,
exactly. So I mean, if you're looking at cheerleaders who are half naked and you're worried about people holding these dances or whatever for what he was talking about, who has more clothing on?
yeah.
And
Well,
your
let me
kids
give
are
it to you.
watching
Let
it,
me
and
give
you're
it to you this way. Let me
yeah.
give it to you because this is what I believe they're concerned with is that as time has went on, the population of transgender, the population of gay, the population of lesbians has increased. And they're suggesting by having this stuff out in the open, you're grooming children and literally turning them gay. I'm not saying I agree with it, but this is the position they're promoting is that by exposing children to this type of lifestyle at a young age, you are possibly turning more children gay that might not otherwise be. So how do you respond to that? Because that's what I'm hearing.
Well, the thing is this: the people that are saying that are the same people that are letting their 7, 8, 9 year old children shoot guns at a firing range.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I mean that's grooming. You have people in certain areas of the states that are grooming their children to hate minorities like yourself.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Okay,
Well, yeah.
so
I don't. Go ahead. Go ahead.
so that's the thing. I mean, you don't have factual information regards to what he was saying about having medical transitions for children. There's no information about that. You don't have children being aborted 30 days after birth. You don't have any facts on
Yeah.
that. You don't have any of the factual information of kitty litter at high schools.
There is a
Okay.
lot of, my daughter came home and told me some shit like that. Somebody wanted to identify as a cat and wanted to bring kitty. It does sound like some of this stuff is starting off as propaganda and being spread around just for the sake of doing it. I mean,
That's
because
that's because they want to push a certain narrative. And I hate to say this, you have like Nick Fuentes saying saying things like, "Oh, well, the blacks want to drink out of the same water faucet. Get over it." I mean,
well,
people like
but
him who have influence, like with Donald Trump, has not disowned him. Do I feel
yeah,
I feel sorry that they don't that something's going to happen to where even the progress of the black community, I mean, we're still going backwards, and I feel something's going to happen down the road where I hate to say it, you're not going to be able to drink out of the same water faucet. You're not going to be able to sit at the same lunch table or the dining room table. I
do
mean,
you think Trump would support? But do you think someone like Trump, if Trump was reelected, you think he would support Jim Crow laws like that?
Donald Trump will do anything to save his butt, and he will do anything to harm other people. That's what he's been doing for the past 7 years.
Wow. Okay, I'm hoping you're wrong. But
So
I
am
had to
I,
ask.
brother. I'm 64 years old. I've seen more hate in these past 7 years than I have in my entire lifetime. I've seen more separation, racial divide, and they all say it was Barack Obama. Barack Obama didn't do this. Barack Obama didn't say us and them, red and blue. I
Yeah,
mean, come on. I mean,
yeah,
seriously. And I appreciate your show, man. I mean, I watch you a lot, and you bring up some good conversation. And the narrow-minded people that don't like what you're being said, you can read them in the chat, And it's the thing like this. If you can have a good conversation with people and be able to discuss what is the issue politely,
yeah.
honestly, informational wise, things can get changed. And people don't like what you have to say, as I'm reading in some of the chat, and it's ridiculous. Why can't we talk and be normal human beings to each other and try to address the issues that really We shouldn't have to be talking about your rights, gay rights, LGBT,
But
anything
what
like
about,
that.
but you got to understand, you have to understand there is a large evangelical base among the right, and they believe things like abortion and even LGBT issues goes against God. So that's where they're coming from, is they believe what we're doing is essentially a sin.
And
So
they're using the Bible to be hateful and stuff like that, because if they want to talk about the Bible, I mean, wasn't Lot's daughters got their father drunk to have sex with them
I
in the
don't know
Bible?
enough about I don't know enough about the Bible to even
It was.
respond to that. But I got to move
It's
it
in
on.
there. But anyway, hey,
All right.
thanks for letting me up, brother.
Hey, good talk. Come on back through anytime.
All right.
Attacking the ignorance. I like it. It's not that there are more gay people. It's just such a stigma. I don't know about that, Kingfish. Now, I would submit the argument that we have always had gay people in this country. I don't want to go against what the former Iranian leader Ahmadinejad once said when asked about how they treat gays in this country. Ahmadinejad, who was in charge of Iran at the time, said, we don't have any gay people here, which is because they were afraid to speak out. So when I suggest that there are increasingly more gay people in America, it is because they are feeling more comfortable in stating how they feel. If you hadn't went to America back in the early 1800s or even before, you probably would not have had any gay people in this country either. Or if you had took a poll from the ones you could get your hands on, the Americans you could get your hands on, it would have been well under 1% of Americans are gay. Not that that number was accurate, but in this country, it would have been dangerous to come out as gay. So the numbers are going up, but it doesn't necessarily mean that there are more and more gay people being produced. It's just safe to come out and tell people now. Looking in the comments, Lindsey Graham is married to who? How many kids? Okay, who is Lindsey Graham married to? I've heard a lot of rumors floating around as if Lindsey Graham needs to come out of the closet for some reason or the other, which is going to lead me to do a little bit of homework once I get off of this live about Lindsey Graham. By the way, tap the screen. 5,000 likes are possible. I do not ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. This is a MAGA-friendly program. MAGA are my preferred guests, but liberals are welcome too. Separation of church and state. Scriptures are twisted to fit narratives. Says for real, Chad. Religion has always had the ability to control people. I don't doubt that at all. The David Koreshes of the world. There are no shortages. What is the guy who had it? Jim Jones with the Kool-Aid? Religion can have a lot of play on people. I'm from the inner cities of Chicago, and I can tell you a whole lot of pastors in the city of Chicago got a lot of ass and cash that they didn't deserve in the name of God. Going to the box, it is Exmo. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Okay, Libra, I will start calling you Tommy from Martin. You always on a lunch break. What? Real quick, people say that. I have my work ID tucked in. I am actually on a lunch break. But Exmo, good afternoon.
How you doing, handsome?
I'm doing good. Good to hear from you. So what do you think? You think the LGBT vote has just simply been abandoned by Republicans, or are the liberals making a big fuss over something that was never in jeopardy in reference to same-sex marriage rights?
I mean, looking back, I don't recall a time when it seemed to me like the Republicans were ever courting the LGBTQ vote. I mean, they have a pretty solid history of being against equality for people of the LGBTQ community, and they were able to win elections all the same. As a matter of fact, that probably, it seems to have backed them up and kept them in power. Giving and changing, positions with the Democrats for a long time. So I don't see that they abandoned.
Wait. Let's be honest. When you say that the Republicans were never really in favor of the LGBT, Democrats weren't either. I mean, Barack Obama and Biden are on video saying that they believe marriage is between a woman and a man also. So it's only been recent that either party has been pro-LGBT.
Fair enough, but I mean, we say recently, we're talking as recently as like 2014, 20 to
Yeah,
2015.
yeah.
That's, we're going on a decade now with this, and it's not really been the Republicans fighting for it. Now, I'm not saying that all Republicans are against it. I'm just saying that it's not a hard thing to move your feet 0 feet. It's not a hard thing,
Yeah.
and and now, as far as the separation of church and state and what's happening with the Respect for Marriage Act, it's out here in where I am in Utah. This is where the court case happened that became Obergefell, that became the Supreme Court deciding that all people have the constitutional right to marry, even if they are gay. Basically, legalized gay marriage, and the Mormon Church out here sent lawyers to fight to say, no, we as a state, as the state of Utah, get to decide that gay people can't be married here and that we're not going to issue licenses. And they lost, right? Now,
Wow.
what I want to point out to you is that this law, the Respect for Marriage law, the Mormon Church endorsed before it passed. They came out and said, we endorse this. We think it's a good way forward because they negotiated into the contract, through intermediaries in Washington, negotiated in, okay, no church, no state can tell any person your marriage is not legitimate because it was solemnized in another state. But that
Yeah.
means that no religious institution can have its tax status, its non-taxable status, nonprofit status rescinded for opposing gay marriage either, and that has to be respected. That's how they negotiate it. In addition, this law doesn't.
I don't see a problem with that, because if you're gay, you're probably not going to be affiliating with a Mormon church anyway. I mean, you're certainly not going to try to get married there. You're not going to renew your vows in a Mormon church if you're gay anyway. So, I mean, they
uh,
oppose it, but to some degree, it's not even going to come up within their grasp.
Here's why I would point out the nuance in this situation. Do you remember Prop 8 in California?
Yes, Prop 8.
Right.
Yes.
Prop 8, and people, you had celebrities like putting duct tape over their mouth with no hate written on them and all that
Yeah.
stuff. That was to get a referendum to overturn gay marriage in in California, excuse me. The Mormon Church paid for that whole campaign. They originally had contracted with the Catholic Church to put a ton of money into campaigning out there, and then the Catholic Church backed out because it was bad optics for the church. Mormon
Yeah.
Church got volunteers. They got wealthy Mormons to donate millions upon millions of dollars to get that passed, to get Prop 8
Well,
passed in California.
let me ask you this way. Okay, we know where the church stands on heterosexual marriage versus gay marriage, but what about, let's say we got Trump or DeSantis in there? Do you think there's a real chance that DeSantis or Trump would be in favor of rolling back same-sex marriage rights? They're not. You think they're trying to take us backwards?
I don't. Here's why I say that it's not really relevant to the question of this law, is that this law doesn't make gay marriage legal everywhere in America. What this
No, it
law
does not.
does, right? It makes it so that this law is about states' rights, and that is their big issue, right? Their big issue is to go back to states' rights on everything. The state should
Yeah, but
decide
I'm asking you though, if Trump or DeSantis were actually put in a position, let's say they got a 60-seat majority and they could roll it back, do you believe that they would even entertain doing something like that?
I think that I don't think that Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis has a personal dog in the fight. I think they'll do what they feel they need to do to keep their base. But here's why I say that's tricky. Right now, supposedly, the right wing, the Republican, which I call the extreme right wing, they have control of the House of Representatives, correct?
Right.
But their top man, Kevin McCarthy, is going out there trying to drum up enough votes to become Speaker of the House. And why is that? Because supposedly He should just go to the party and say, "Look, whip up these votes and tell these people to vote for their Republican man." But they can't do it because the MAGA Republicans are dividing up their own caucus. They no longer have a cohesive message, a cohesive caucus like the Democrats have. To where now he's in this awkward position.
Yeah, I don't know. When you got Bernie Sanders and AOC, I don't know if the Democrats are as cohesive as you're stating, but I do believe the Democrats are more united than the Republicans right now. But I do got to move it on, Exmo. Appreciate you coming through. Come on back through anytime, man. All right,
problem.
You too. All right, look at comments. People can't let go of the past. Monkey balls. 2010. In regards to people not being able to let go of the past, first question I have to ask are, who are the people? Are we talking about, say, African Americans who continue to think the world is based on the 1800s and slavery? Are we talking about the NRA who continues to think that there's some kind of tyrannical threat that has not happened in this country for 200 years as well? Are we talking about Confederates who are embracing statues of people who have died hundreds of years ago? Are we talking about the LGBT? Who are you suggesting that cannot let go of history? Because I can give you clear-cut examples of people on both sides that keep talking about shit that happened a very long time ago. One of the main reasons people in this country right now state they carry a gun is to prevent a tyrannical government. When you start asking them to give examples of tyranny, it's examples that are hundreds of years ago. At the very least, Hitler, which is about 70 or 80 years ago. So both sides bring up shit that happened a long time ago to defend what they think and believe today. Going back to the box, Anthony, 6195. Good afternoon, Anthony. Welcome back. What do you think? LGBT vote be damned from the Republican Party?
Repeat that for me so I can make sure I heard you correct.
I'm asking, do you think that the Republican Party has simply abandoned the LGBT vote? It just LGBT vote be damned. Are they just simply not concerned with the issues of the LGBT community?
Of course. I agree with the last call. I can't say that they've ever engaged with that community in this country. Kind of like you said about the Democrats also. It's new. This is new to us. Every generation, every oldie, the elders are going to be dragged, kicking and screaming, into a new era. And that's what we have going on right now. Like you said earlier.
You're basically saying it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you said earlier, I can't exactly remember how you put it, but we're going into a new era, and these people that are coming out could not come out back then. And the people that are against them are the people that's always screaming freedom, freedom, freedom. These people are finally feeling free to be themselves.
What about the claims? What about the claims? I had a couple callers back that talked about drag queen shows and things like that. What about the claims that exposing children to this stuff at a young age is potentially grooming them to go down a path that they normally may not have went down?
I heard you use one of the references that we've talked about on here before that I brought to your attention about. We've been seeing this shit since we were kids. We've been seeing this shit, so it's nothing new. It's more of it. We have more access to TV. We have more access to videos, information. This is nothing new.
No.
These people have been worked up and steered and pointed into a direction.
So, but let me ask you directly like the caller talked about. You got a 13, 14, 15-year-old child that's at a drag queen show where someone is cross-dressing and they're gyrating in sexual manners and the child is throwing dollars at them. Do you feel like that is inappropriate for a young child to be attending?
If they're with their parents, it's none of my business. Would I have my kids there? No, but if they're with their parents, it's none of my business.
Why would you not
personally,
have your children there? What would stop you from sending your child to that?
Because it's not my type of entertainment. And just like anything that's on TV, if I don't want to see it, I'm gonna turn the channel. If I don't want to be there, I'm not gonna pay my money to go see it. So this is a free country.
Yeah, fair enough. And I have not seen that for, just being honest, I see folks in the comments. I have not seen an issue where a young child was at a drag queen show throwing dollars at somebody cross-dressing. But I just threw it out there because that's what the caller presented. I have not seen that yet. So if anybody has any evidence of that, a young child, 14 or under, at a drag queen show doing something like that, I'd love to see it because I have not seen that. So.
Hey,
go ahead.
God just asked me, had I ever taken my kids to Hooters? I've never taken my 12-year-old to Hooters. I've taken my 24-year-old to Hooters. I've never taken my 12-year-old to Hooters.
But what's going on? What's going on that's so adult-like at Hooters? I've eaten wings at Hooters. I wish they would show more titties. I don't see none of that. They hit him to play the wings and expect a tip.
That was a got you. That was a got you. Listen, you can take your child to whatever you want to take your child to. I'm not going to get in your business of how you raise your child. Because if we're going to go by statistics, if we're going to do numbers, which numbers means reality, your child is safer at a transgender anything than at church or at the Boy Scouts.
Mm-hmm. How do you suggest that a child at a transgender event is safer than at church? What's so dangerous at church? I have to ask that.
Statistically, you have more pastors, preachers, priests, and Boy Scout leaders who molest children than anybody on this planet.
That actually, I don't know the numbers, but I would not hesitate to say that is probably true. You have not heard of a lot of LGBT members being accused of sexual assaults, whereas you're right, the church, particularly the Catholic Church and the Mormon Church with the underage folks and the Boy Scouts, it's rampant.
Southern Baptist Church also.
Yeah, I can't argue with that, but I got to move it on, Anthony. Appreciate you coming in here again, man. Always a pleasure. Catch you on the next one. Okay, looking in, I never thought of it that way, but fact is, a lot of religions do have a hell of a lot of sexual assaults and abuse of children, abuse of women, womenizing. The history of religion is very oppressive. In America, we have progressed on a bit, but you see what's happening in Afghanistan, in Iraq, Iran. All of that's religion-based. It's all religion-based. We had a news story the other day came out of Afghanistan where a woman simply went out in public without having a male chaperone, because that's the law there. If you're a woman, you're out in public, you got to have a male chaperone. They were beating her, had a stick. It's on video. You can actually see the guy beating her and everything. The crime was not having a male chaperone. All of that stuff is religion-based. We've evolved past that in this country, but most of our hardcore right-wing laws in this country also are deeply rooted in the way we were founded religiously. All right, looking in the box, we'll continue moving on. By the way, tap the screen. 25,000 likes. I'm going to keep asking. I appreciate it. It's a MAGA-friendly program. I'm getting a lot of liberals, but MAGA is absolutely welcome on the program. So feel free to come on through anytime. I don't ban, block, or censor anyone for their commentary. And last but not least, I don't talk down to guests. If you disagree with the host, I don't mean a damn thing. I'll give you plenty of time in the box to state your point. Okay, moving on. One and only, the right libertarian guy. Good to have you back on. Now, being a libertarian, you're clearly in the middle. And I don't think a libertarian gives a damn who marries who. But we're talking about the Republican Party. And when it comes to elections, you guys, most libertarians do generally go more towards the smaller government, pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment. You normally go Republican. So I'm asking, Do you see where the Republican Party has just abandoned the LGBT vote?
I can see in a sense, especially among like the more ultra religious. Like I'm religious, I'm a Christian, but my philosophy on religion is I follow the word of Christ. Christ is the one that saves people. It's not up to me. Live your life how you want to live it, and if my religion is right, which I believe it is, then that's going to be between you and the Lord.
So, but you believe that if what the individual is doing is wrong, or if it's a sin, it's going to ultimately be between them and the Lord. But you don't believe you should have any right to make them do what the Lord wants folks to do.
Yeah, no, that's why in my belief, we were endowed from Christ with free will. And we can use that free will to, make ourselves happy in the short term or to, serve Christ. And he knows that's a human nature. And with that, we will make those choices in our short span of a lifetime. And then what happens after, that's between that individual and God.
But if you are a Christian, you're a God-fearing man, which is what I'm hearing. How do you view folks who are suggesting, particularly Christians, that exposing your children to LGBT lifestyles is grooming them to become gay, lesbian, trans, or something of that nature?
So I think what the thing is, I think it's two sides not talking to each other in a way that there can be a common ground found.
Okay.
I don't think it's so much just like exposing, like, teaching your kids that, this type of life exists as opposed to this. I think it's partly due to the media, because obviously the media is only on both sides. It's only gonna encapsulate the most extreme of both.
Yeah, they have an agenda.
Yeah, they're only gonna. Yeah, they want ratings, so they're not gonna advertise, the middle section of America. They're gonna advertise the two extremes. Which, yes, what they're saying on one extreme is happening. What they're saying on another extreme is happening, and I can definitely see in certain areas that they are attempting to groom, like drag queen story hour, where they were doing that on Nickelodeon. But I'm in the mindset that I believe in a free market and not necessarily boycott, but boycott, spend your money on other platforms.
Here's what I don't get. You're saying that drag queen story hour on Nickelodeon is a grooming. What is it grooming children to do? Dressed in drag, be gay? What do you see the grooming? What kind of grooming is happening there?
So I say it specifically with like Nickelodeon and Disney, who have had, definite instances of P3DOs and situations of like, I can't remember the guy's name. He was a producer on Nickelodeon for a long time who had like a foot fetish with underage girls, where he would like force feet scenes into kids shows. You know who I'm talking about, right?
No, I actually don't. Yeah, but that's quite funny.
Yeah, look it up. It's really weird. I can't remember his name, but there's instances of that. So to say that that's just not happening would be disingenuous at best. It is happening now on the scale of what the other extreme wants you to believe it's happening. That I don't know. I can't verify that. I can't dispute that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not an analysis or, I'm not sure what the term of the profession is, but I don't do analysis on that type of stuff.
Okay.
That's not my profession. But as far as like the gay marriage and stuff you guys were talking about, I'm actually against any gay marriage law. I'm against any bill in regards to marriage. I think the government needs to stay the hell out of marriage.
But wait a minute. Okay, are you against the law that Biden just passed, the Respect for Marriage Act, meaning that if a couple is married, their marriage has to be respected in all 50 states. Are you against that?
I'm against any government influence into marriage. I don't think the government should allow straight people to be married. I don't think they should allow or disallow gay people to be married. I think they should be absolutely out of it. They're terrible at everything they do. The last thing you want them to be involved in is your marriage.
Well, but wait a minute. If they get out of it, if you're married to your wife, let's see you and obviously, if you and your wife are married and one of you guys pass away, the government is who steps in and says, we have a record that they were married. So the surviving spouse gets to control the assets. Without the government involved in that, who would step in and say the remaining spouse gets control of everything? You just have to hope the neighborhood tells the truth?
No, that's where a last will and testament and civil contracts come into play.
You just have to hope the neighborhood tells the truth?
No, that's where a last will and testament and civil contracts come into play.
You just have to hope the neighborhood tells the truth?
No, that's where a last will and testament and civil contracts come into play.
Yeah, but
all
what
the stuff the government does can be handled by civil contracts.
Yeah, but even if you have a will or something like that, the government has to step in and make sure that will actually correct. And for some reason, that last caller dropped. I don't know what the hell just happened there. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. Something's going on here, weird. But I was going to ask the last call. I guess he dropped out or something happened with the connection. But if you don't have the government involved and you pass away and your wife hands over your will, how are we to know that the will wasn't made after you died? The government has to be around to defend the legitimacy of your will. Without the government, anybody can do anything. So having the government there, having a judge that steps in and says, this is true, means that now if your remaining spouse has your will, she can also call the police if somebody tries to do something else and make sure that your will and your rights and what you left to her is defended. Without the government, you leave the people up to themselves. And I know a lot of libertarians want a world like that. No government intervention, let the people govern themselves. The reason we have government is because the people historically have done a horrible job governing themselves. Think about the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency. That's what EPA stands for. Without the EPA, if you let the people govern themselves, any business would dump shit in the river to save money. We'd have Flint, Michigan all over the country. You wouldn't have a botanical gardens. Folks would shoot animals and cut down shit to build a condo complex. Without government intervention, the capitalists would tear the country apart, shoot down the bald eagles and sell the fur. You have to have people to stop the individuals from getting too greedy. That's why you have wildlife, endangered species. You have all of that shit from your government because the people before they existed were literally destroying the environment, destroying the planet. FDA, Food and Drug Administration. Without the FDA, you still have big tobacco telling you that cigarettes were healthy. So I don't know if I totally agree that getting rid of government is good. I understand government can take things too far. 100% agree with that. But at the same time, you can't trust the people either because they're in it to make money. They don't give a shit about your health or about the land. If I can make money killing an animal and selling the fur or selling the husk or whatever, I'm going to kill every single one of those I see, up to and including extinction. You need the government to step in and stop folks and say, well, you can only take so many lobster out of the river, or you got to let a fish get to be this damn big to make sure there's some more left. Because the capitalists don't give a shit about that. Going back to the box. Uncle Sneaky Link. Wait a minute. I think I hit the wrong thing. I don't know what the hell's going on here. The world needs rules and regulations, says Roosevelt. Yeah, I don't think you can leave the people up to governing themselves. Our country, the history of when we governed ourselves was very oppressive to certain groups of people, treated the land like shit. For all of the issues we have with the Native Americans, they view the colonists, the current situation, the way we treat the land now, they actually were far more friendlier to the environment than we are. We are for civilizing the land. We are for making money. They are for a continuation of the planet. We don't do that. We throw waste all types of shit. So I don't know if I'm a huge fan of completely getting rid of the government. The government, not the people, oppress the people. There's no way I'm going to agree with that. Because when you look at the founding of America, before the founding fathers created the Constitution and things like that, when the colonists came here, before we had an organized government, it was exceptionally oppressive. It was extremely oppressive. Most groups did not have any rules. In fact, when the Constitution was passed, the only people in this country that could vote were white males that owned land. Everybody else did not have the right to vote, did not have the right to own property. Women didn't get the right to open up bank accounts until the 1900s. You need the government to step in and say, this shit ain't right. You can't do this, or you can't dump that there, or you can't kill all the animals. I just disagree that completely getting rid of the government would make the country better. I do understand the government gets overburdensome sometimes. They overstep their boundaries. They do the same thing the other side does. But at the end of the day, you need a push-pull system. You need checks and balances on both sides. If you let one group, whether it's the people or the government, operate without any restrictions, that one group will be corrupt. It's the same way in business. We've gotten rid of unions in this country, and we've allowed the corporations, for the most part, to fester. Well, what have they done? They've rolled back a hell of a lot of the rights that the worker had, because you no longer have the checks and balances coming from the side of the union. Going back to the box. It is Coach. Let's make it happen. Afternoon. I don't know what's going on with TikTok. Somebody's not a fan, but Coach Vernon, are you on Bluetooth? Okay. Hey. All right. Maybe we're moving on. Remember when Trump was a Democrat in 2001? Yeah, but we could also bring up, remember when Biden was not for same-sex marriage? I mean, at some point we got to bring it up to the modern times, but I do get your point. Need corporate dollars out of politics. I don't know how you can do that. I've suggested what we should do, because when you get a television station, a radio station, let's say you get ABC or NBC, you get your call letters. I've suggested that as a condition of maintaining an FCC broadcast license, during election time, you should have to donate so many hours of commercial time to candidates on whatever, both sides of the aisle or whatever number of parties. So during election time, you could say Channel 5 in your town, Chicago, it's WMAQ or something like that. Channel 5 has to donate, 3 hours of commercial time for these months during election time. And then you divide that up among the candidates running for office. Because the problem is you need so much money to get in politics, you got to pay for all those damn commercials and TV ads. If you made it so that the folks could get their names out and didn't have to pay millions of dollars for commercial spots, you probably could have more candidates. But right now, it's impossible to really run for office because it takes so much money to have your name well known. The internet's made it a little bit easier because you can do a lot of shit for free on the internet, but you need to be on TV. You need to be in the newspaper. You need to be on radio, and that stuff costs money. Going to the box. I don't know what the hell's going on, but we'll try here. Maybe it is my TikTok, but I don't know who I just tapped on. Janet, good afternoon.
Well, hello. How are you this afternoon?
I'm doing very well. We're asking the question with the Respect for Marriage Act that Biden just passed. A lot of Republicans, the overwhelming number of Republicans in both the House and Senate voted against it. Has the Republican Party just abandoned the LGBT vote? Are they not concerned with the LGBT vote?
many of them, I think, yes. But I also think that they are beholding to other things like the Christian nationalism. Um, sorry. Uh, yeah, I do think they've kind of abandoned us for other things. I think it's greed. I think it's power. Yeah, because most of them are elected from areas that no Democrat could possibly win. So
Okay, so
I think
let me present it to you this way. In the comments, 11 Butterflies suggested that it has nothing to do with abandoning the LGBT vote. She's suggesting it's the fact that we have no religious freedom. Do you see the religious freedoms of folks that believe in religion? Do you see religious freedoms in this country being limited?
most definitely. But I am going to say that I think that I live in a very red area, and we have not. I'm married. I'm a part of the mafia, the alphabet mafia, and I'm married. We were the first couple married in my county, but
So you're
I
in the
have.
same-sex marriage. You're in the same-sex marriage.
Yes, I am, and
Okay.
I haven't had any problems. And supposedly, Governor Youngkin has promised not to change anything in the state if this does go to the Supreme Court and all of that kind of stuff. So,
But you agree with 11 Butterflies that religious freedoms are being limited. Give me some examples of how you believe religious freedoms are being limited in this country.
I think they're being challenged. Let me phrase it that way. I think they're being challenged. I think that if you're not
give me some freedoms,
a
give me some
Baptist,
religious freedoms. What's being challenged?
a religious freedom would be my marriage. Okay, I don't happen to be a main Christian. I'm not. I'm not of that ilk. Okay, and they are pushing their religion on government, and so right there's my freedom. They don't want me
but
to
that's
have the
not.
privilege of
Wait a
being
minute.
here.
I think you got it the other way around. That's not a religious freedom being challenged. That's religion challenging the freedoms of others, the way you're stating it.
That's a good way to put it. Yes. So I would have to rethink. I would have to rethink how I phrased that. I just see that
let's say I'm a Catholic or I'm a Christian or I'm a Lutheran. What religious freedoms that I used to be able to practice are being challenged or prevented? What freedoms as a Catholic or as a Lutheran or whatever? What freedoms am I losing?
I've got you. I was thinking of it in the like you described. None. So when they complain that they're losing their privileges and whatever, they're wrong. We aren't trying. We meaning the more left-leaning or the Democrats,
right,
or even the Libertarians, for that fact. We aren't taking anything away from them. We aren't saying you can't practice your religion. We're saying don't force your book on me. I don't belong to your book club. And I mean, it doesn't mean the book is bad. It just means it's not a book that I want to base my life on, although there's some very good things in that book, which I have read several times. But yeah, we're not doing anything to them. But what they're doing to us is trying to force their beliefs on us, trying to say we have to live by the rules that are in their book.
Yeah. So in other words, your religious freedoms are not being blocked. It is the religious crowd that is trying to interfere with the freedoms of others. I got to move it on, Janet, but I do appreciate you coming through. You kind of break it up.
All right. I've been missing you. Have a good afternoon, hon.
You too. It's a pleasure. Way in the comments. If I don't tap the screen, get your boy up to 30,000 likes. This is a MAGA friendly program, but liberals are welcome as well. I've seen folks in the comments suggesting that one of the religious freedoms that's being taken away is prayer in schools. First of all, I'm going to present it to you from two different angles. First of all, nobody's stopping you from praying in school. You can be praying while you're watching me right now. Praying that they take my crazy ass off of TikTok. Nobody is ever stopping you from praying. So the notion that prayer in schools has been stopped is not true. Now, if you want to suggest, well, I want all of my students, every child in class to have to say a prayer, then now it is not your religious freedom being challenged. You're demanding that all of your students engage in a prayer, whether they are religious or not. Nobody's stopping you from praying. You can go to the bathroom when the teacher is writing on the chalkboard or whatever the dry erase boards they have right now. There's nothing stopping you from saying a prayer. You don't have to demand everybody else in the room engage in the same prayer with you. So that's the first argument. The second issue is during the Colin Kaepernick taking a knee before the anthem, it was often said, you can do this, just do not do it here, because I did not come to an NFL game to watch politics or see someone taking a knee. Why would that not apply to prayer in schools? You go to school to learn. You don't go to school to pray. You don't go to school to talk about religion. You go to school to learn. Why are we talking about Muhammad in math class or Jerusalem in English? It has nothing to do with why we're here. So if you can see that issue in regards to Colin Kaepernick, I came to watch a game. I didn't come to watch an athlete getting involved in politics. Why would that not apply to an elementary school child that is going to school to learn reading, writing, and arithmetic, as they used to say? Why the hell is he in here talking about Adam and Eve? Has nothing to do with the lesson plan. Just want to be able to call a spade no matter who's dealing the cards. That's all I'm saying. Going back to the box. It is. I don't know what that. For some reason, what's going on? Let me see. Why are we talking about gender then that has nothing to do with math, science, and English? That's true. That's a good legitimate question, legitimate rebuttal there coming from 11 butterflies of that. If you're in math class, why are you discussing gender reassignment or something like that? I don't know if that's actually happening in most American classrooms, but if it is, then what she's saying is a point. But I don't know. When you go for you guys out there that have children, are they talking about gender reassignment surgery and LGBT issues in your child's history or social studies class or whatever? I'd like to know that. Red Trolley, good afternoon.
Actually, I can answer that. I got kids in school, and no, they're not.
What state are you in?
If those conversations are happening, it's not the teachers that are teaching it. It's the students talking to each other. Because as far as I'm concerned, every time I've gone to school, I'm not seeing teachers running around teaching that. The history of it would be where it would apply there, is what I'm thinking.
What state are you in? I'm just wondering.
Well, I'm in California.
Well, shit, if you ain't seeing it in California, then it ain't happening. Because if it was going to happen, it would be certainly happening in California.
My whole take on the religious aspect of it is the right side has taken religion and taken it from a personal, private thing and trying to make it a public thing for everyone. And that's the wrong way to do religion. You can't do religion that way, because then that's when you have the autocrats and everything coming around, and you have one side controlling everything, which is what you see in a lot of religious countries. That's what happens, is one side takes over everything, and then the entire other half of your country that doesn't believe in that is now forced to do what you want to do. So I just think that the religion on the right side at least, is trying to make it public instead of a personal, private thing.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying, is that you can pray in school, but that doesn't give you the right to demand that all of your students in the classroom pray with you. And that's what prayer in school really is about, is making it so that all of the kids are getting involved in it.
Yeah. So now here's the thing with this. I grew up in Florida, and when I was in Florida, there were kids that would pray in school, and what they would do is the time they had in between classes, they would get together in their little group. They'd go over and say their little prayer, and then they'd go about their day and go to school. Nobody cared. That's exactly, you can pray in school. Nobody cared, because guess what? They were doing it in their private setting of where they wanted to do it. They were in the middle of a courtyard, just in their little group, prayed, and then went to class, and that was it. Like,
yeah. I would also suggest, if you put prayer in school, you got a child in the background there. I would also suggest, if you put prayer in school, you gotta then start teaching lessons on it. It's kind of like the Pledge of Allegiance. When we used to say, I pledge allegiance to, nobody knows what that means at 5 or 6 years old. Nobody knows what it means to pledge allegiance to a nation. So you go from just saying it to having to have lessons on it, because the Bible, a lot of it's in Latin, and it's not even easy to understand. So now you're going to have kids asking, what does that even mean? And before you know it, you're having lessons on prayer in school. That's what I think folks on the right kind of want, is like you kind of want it to be a religious-based teachings.
Yeah, I can see that. And I just wanted to make my point of, like, I feel like the right side of the religion and everything is trying to make religion a public thing where it's everybody does it, instead of, oh, this is my personal private thing, and I just think that's what it is.
But from your assertion that they want to make it public, what if you had a whole bunch of Muslim students transferred into a school in a red state? You think they would be okay with making Muslim prayers public as well?
There would be, you know what? I feel like it would eventually, there would be, like, normalized in the school, but there would be heavy resistance to it at first. But due to the social aspect of how it would actually have to work, is they would have to accommodate every religion, satanic, Jewish, Muslim. They have to do everybody, but there would be the pushback because they keep saying, we want prayer in school. And it's like, okay, well, which prayer?
Right. And that's the point, because there are certain religions, particularly, let's say, the Muslim religions. Some religions do not believe in equality for women. Now, in the LGBT argument, I don't want my children exposed to LGBT issues, people are saying, because it grooms them. Well, what if you have a Christian child and he has a Muslim friend that's telling him, in my religion, your dad would not have to go what he's going through, because in my religion, your dad would be king in the house. So now all of a sudden, the Christian child is coming home telling his father, Muslim religion sound like it's a lot better. So you could have the same type of grooming argument if you expose all the children to different religions, which is exactly what could come from prayer in schools.
Yeah. Wait, somebody made a comment. Hold on. There's a reason you put Judaism in the same boat as Satanism. No, I literally just named different religions. Like, I didn't say that Judaism and Satanism were the same. I just named several religions because you have to open it to everyone. And as far as I'm concerned, I think there's over 3,000 religions in the world. So how do we freaking? I'm just saying denominations.
You'd have to have
different.
I got to move it on, but you'd have to have federally designated religions. You'd have to have the federal government state which religions are acceptable, because then you get Scientology and you'd get all sorts of satanic shit. But I got to move it on there, real quick.
It's good talking to you. I like seeing your videos.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Come on back through anytime. The comments, but that's the whole argument. If you believe exposing children to LGBT issues could groom them or lead them down the wrong path, why would that not also apply to religion? Because if you bring prayer back in schools, we're a melting pot at this point. The time in America when we had religion in schools, the country was far more Christian than it is today, which, if you brought religion back in schools, you're now exposing your children to all sorts of counter religions. And Make no mistake about it. Most religions in the world teach you that it is the only one and true religion. What is it? Beware of false prophets. Thou shalt have no other God before me. Most religions teach you that everybody else is a phony. You don't get a lot of equality coming from the Quran or coming from the Bible. It teaches you that all of that other stuff is bullshit. So now you got the students in class together, and they're all telling each other your religion is a fake. The Jehovah's Witnesses, Christians are not big fans of Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm assuming Muslims are not either. So this is what you want to put in schools? The reason we're suggesting when folks say they want to bring prayer back in schools, there's a word they're deliberately deleting out of that sentence. Christian. I want to bring Christian prayer back in schools. Not all prayers, just Christian. Which, once again, is an oppression of rights because all the other groups are now losing their rights. But make no mistake about it, from a child elementary standpoint, you can't open up schools to everybody exposing their religions, because now you're going to have a lot of extracurricular arguing and fighting, which is what religion is all about. I mean, how many folks have stated that war, the primary reason for wars throughout history have been religious based? Well, you're going to bring it in schools and let the kids do this now? All right, looking at the box, it is the right libertarian. For some reason, you dropped out last time. Libertarian, welcome back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. It said that you stopped live together and wouldn't let me multi-guest. But
Okay.
so did you want to continue on the religion thing or go back to what we're speaking
Yeah,
about?
obviously we're talking more about the LGBT, the Defense of Marriage Act, and what does this mean for the Republican Party? First, you had the Brittany Griner thing where folks were suggesting she was released. It was privileged because she's black, because it's LGBT. I tend to believe that some of that is true. However, there is a win for Biden with the LGBT community in regards to freeing Brittany Griner, and the Republicans were woefully against him doing that with Brittany Griner. And now the Republicans are also going against the Respect for Marriage Act. So what does this mean for the future of the Republican Party when it comes to the LGBT vote?
So the thing with the GOP, I don't think they specifically chart for the LGBTQ AI plus vote in particular. I think it's more of an ideology, because you have conservative trans, you have conservative gays, you have conservative lesbians, you have conservative on all those. Different categories.
Wait a minute. You said you got conservative trends. I'm just being honest with you, whether it's here on my little tiny corner of social media, whether I'm watching Fox or Newsman. I don't think I've ever heard a Republican media outlet say anything positive about the trans community at all. I don't understand. If you're a Republican and trans, I'd love to talk to you, because it is overwhelmingly negative when it comes. I'm not saying the lesbian, gay, and those other letters, but the trans community in particular. I don't think I've ever heard anything positive about the trans community come from the Republican side of the aisle. In fact, I don't, what do you normally hear? There's only two genders, and it's all negative. So I don't understand how any trans person.
Caitlyn Jenner, yeah, Blair White. There's more that I can't think of right now. So they're definitely out there. But I think it's more appealing to a ideology of conservatism rather than the who you lay with at night. And as far as the bill, like I said, I'm against any federal involvement within the marriage sector. Yeah, sorry, I was drawing a blank. I don't know why.
And what I was telling you when you said that last time is that you need the government to protect the rights of your spouse should you pass away, you have a will or whatever's left behind. if your spouse needs to show your will to make sure she gets access to your assets and things like that without any government, how can she be sure that your will be lived up to?
Well, on the civil side, something like that would need to be notarized with a witness. So you would have somebody outside of the
Yeah, but
spouse that can verify.
okay, but if there's no government, and let's say she has it notarized, and the neighbor just wants to tear down the garage or something like that, who's your wife going to call to stop that from happening with no government?
Well, I specifically said federal government. That's a thing that people commonly misconstrue about libertarianism. We don't want no government. We want limited government.
Right.
And no government would be more of an anarchism argument.
So you're saying
complete
states' rights, but no federal government?
Not no federal government at all. Just very limited to what their actual purview is, which would be protecting our constitutional rights. And
okay, so let me give you an example. Let's say I got a business in Wisconsin, and I produce a lot of industrial waste. I'm right near the Mississippi River, so I throw my waste in the Mississippi River, and the citizens of Wisconsin, under a states' rights issue, don't have to worry about it because the river flows south. So now all of this waste is showing up on the shores of Illinois, Missouri, Louisiana, all the way down that river. But the state of Wisconsin is fine because the waste is flowing away from them. Without a federal government, how can those states challenge my corporation for what we're doing up in Wisconsin and ruining all of their wildlife that's in the water and all of that? How can they challenge me without a federal government?
The state can go against you. And like I said, I'm not against absolutely no regulations and no government. I believe that there should be limited. Because
but there would
like
have
somebody
to be
was saying,
there would have to be a federal government that would now control the waterways, right?
Not necessarily control, maybe light regulation in regards to stuff like toxic waste.
What's the difference between regulation and control?
Control would mean that they have complete and utter dominance over it, and light regulation would just be what that is, light regulation.
Yeah, but let's say, for instance, the state of Missouri wanted to have more water in the central state part of that state. So they put a dam on the Mississippi River so that when the water comes to their state, it curves and starts heading eastward so that interior cities could get water, making it so that all the states that are south of the Mississippi are drying up. What do you do for that? These are real life problems that have happened throughout the past that without a federal government, you would not have a solution for it. I mean, there are plenty of people who have tried to divert waterways or overfish them and things like that. I don't see how you could do any of this stuff or stop it without a federal government.
Like I said, I'm not in favor of eliminating all federal government. Specifically, though, when it comes to marriage, I think they shouldn't be involved. I think that should be the two people, and if they decide to get married in a church between God and the pastor or priest that's marrying them.
Okay. Well, I'll give you one more before I got to part ways before we go. You're married to your spouse. You guys decide to go to Disneyland or something while you're married. You pass away while you're in Disneyland. They don't recognize your marriage there. There's no federal government requiring them to. You're in a different state now. If under your state's rights laws, if she presents a will so that she can get your wallet and all the stuff that's on you back in that state, how do you do it if there's no federal government to ensure that your marriage is recognized down there?
That would generally be like a next of kin type of situation. You don't necessarily have to be related or married to someone to be their next of kin emergency contact to be able to gather those things.
But what if but you don't know what the rules are in that state. The rules in that state may just simply say they can keep your stuff. When you allow the states to do whatever they want, sometimes they don't do the right thing.
So with that, I would say that that's where if you're labeled, something like Mexican or, emergency contact, something along those lines.
What if your next of kin is a child that you're estranged from, or maybe your next of kin may be somebody you have no relationship with? You want your wife to get your assets. I mean, there are plenty of people who are not cool with their mom or not cool with their kids. You don't want somebody having control because of a next of kin law that you have no relationship with. You don't see how this could go wrong?
It could go wrong. Everything can go wrong, as we see now in the state of our country now. Everything can go wrong. But if you're gonna only do things where absolutely nothing can go wrong, you're gonna end up doing nothing.
Yeah, but I'm just simply saying, whatever you want your rights protected across the country. I'm black, so let's just be honest. I don't want to have states where I go to where I can't be with somebody of a different race, or I can't go and sit down and have a hamburger because a restaurant won't serve me. I'm just simply saying that we have had a period in this country where states' rights reigned supreme, and they were doing horrible shit. The federal government, as much as we may disagree with them, the reason why the federal government is the size it is right now is because the states kept doing bad shit, leading to more and more federal regulation. The federal government did not come from nowhere. It came from states and individuals doing bad shit.
Well, I would disagree that that's why the government is as big as it is now. Maybe at some point that was the causing factor, but I would say corruption is why they're as big. Corruption and power hungriness is why they're as big as they are now.
Okay. Well, I'm just simply saying, it's one of those things. If you do what you always did, you're going to get what you always got. When you look at the way America used to be under a states' rights government, removing the federal government in 2022, you have no reason to believe that the states would not go back to that stuff. I mean, it came from somewhere. So we're going to get rid of the federal government and just hope that they won't do what they used to do.
So that's where, if you are strongly positioned on this, get it put into a constitutional right. If it's put into a constitutional right, which is actually under the federal government's purview, then that has to be protected within the nation.
There's no guarantee. But there's no like, for instance, let's say same-sex marriage rights. If we were about to go back to a states' rights country, and we demanded that a state like Alabama or Louisiana re-adopt their constitution that includes same-sex marriage rights in it, they wouldn't do it. You wouldn't be able to get them to do it. You wouldn't have enough votes in the state legislature down in Alabama to get them to do that. So I agree with you, change the constitution, but a lot of states would not do that. You need the federal government to force them to acknowledge that same-sex folks can get married. Because if it was up to the state of Alabama, they wouldn't allow you to do it.
Well, with that, the United States Constitution is the law of the land, and anything
that's federal.
That violates...
That's federal.
Yeah. Well, the Constitution itself necessarily isn't part of the federal government. The federal government was created to protect the rights of the Constitution.
Yeah, but when you look at the Constitution, you ever see the movie Mississippi Burning, where the federal government had to go down to Alabama because if you leave it to the states, they'll look at your constitutional rights and be like, damn your rights. Sometimes you need the feds to come in because the states are not honoring those constitutional rights. The entire Civil Rights Act featured states violating people's constitutional rights. So even when you're bringing up the Constitution and things like that, I think we have a precedent in this country that shows the states would not even honor that if you left it up to them. But I got to move it on. I'll give you the last word, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to say we may disagree on this, and I think a big miscommunication is the impression that I'm for no federal government. I just think they should operate within their purview, which they haven't for a very long time. And I just wanted to address, I saw it in the comments and some people talking on here, a misconception of libertarianism, looking at it like the Republican Party or Democratic Party, where it's more so just one set of ideals. Libertarianism is a much bigger spectrum than those two parties. You have anarcho-libertarianism, and then you have as far as conservative libertarianism. So it's not just all encapsulated into one thing. It's under the libertarian banner, but it's a huge stretch of different extents of it.
Well, that's going to hurt your cause if you're trying to get a libertarian candidate in there. You need to unite and come up with one libertarian party. When you got all these little individual sects, I mean, it's already hard enough to get a libertarian candidate in there now. But then when you make it clear that even all of the libertarians are all over the place like that, and the chances of you seeing a libertarian candidate of any significance is probably zero. You're not even unified, according to you.
Yeah, and that's why I think the whole party system should be abolished and have people actually run on their ideas instead of voting red or voting blue.
Fair enough. All right, man, come on back through anytime.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You too. There are even left libertarians. I'd have to see what the hell is a left-wing libertarian. I guess you got folks who believe that all drugs should be legalized. Because you do have left-wing libertarians, I suppose, like Denmark, for instance, where prostitution is legal. You can do any damn thing. I guess that would be more considered as left-leaning libertarians. Right-wing, the extreme right is, for the most part, shit we don't ever want in this country. The Afghanistan-type lifestyle, the Iraqi-type lifestyle, where everybody's being oppressed. If you go really far to the right, you get guys like Nick Fuentes. If you go really far to the left, in my opinion, far left is nowhere near as bad as the far right. Because the far left pretty much makes it so everything is free for all. The far right makes it so that nothing is free. The far right makes it so that a small group of people are in control, and they really have a strong demand on how you can live your life. So, in my opinion, the far right is far more dangerous than the far left. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you guys have a different opinion. We'll go to Coach Vernon. I appreciate Coach Vernon holding on.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good.
What's the topic today? What are we talking about?
Oh, shit. We were talking about the fact that the Respect for Marriage Act passed with very little Republican support. Has the Republican Party abandoned the LGBT vote? Are they just no longer interested in that? Because they keep doing things that seem to be anti-LGBT at the, to some degree.
I think, my personal opinion, I think they are, and it's not so much they're against against that community.
Yeah,
I think they're trying to show up a coalition of people who they need to vote for them, and I think they're trying to target, the Christian nationalists, the business type Republicans, the regular conservative Republicans, and I think they're really trying to go at the Latino vote.
Yeah, but the Latinos and the business conservatives, they're not anti-LGBT. You don't need to be against LGBT marriages to get the conservatives.
No.
Go ahead.
I don't think that they're using that particular point to get those people, but I think they're using that point to get Latinos and the Christian vote. That's most of the Latinos.
You think that the Republican Party is courting the Hispanic vote? You see that?
Yeah, because what are they saying? Those people were coming from South America on caravans, right?
It's not positive though. It's they're rapists and murderers. I mean, you really think they're trying to get the Hispanic vote?
He said that they said that some were rapists, but they also said that there was a lot of gay and
He
lesbian
said you
people that were
guys are
getting.
sending. No. He didn't say the word some. He said you're sending us your worst. Your rapists and your. The word some was not even in a sentence.
But no, I'm not quoting Trump, but quoting the other Republicans saying there was gay caravans, right, coming from South
Did
America. At one
somebody
point,
say that? A gay caravan? Did somebody
yeah, it
actually
was
say
like,
that?
yeah. I mean, this is like maybe like a couple of years ago when the big influx of people coming from South America. They were like the South American countries were basically sending all their gay and lesbian and transgender people to the United States in waves. And I think they're
Then
trying to court those
But if,
people,
if
man.
but they're not, if they say that the South American countries are sending a whole lot of LGBT people here, they're not saying that from a positive aspect. How are you viewing that as courting the LGBT vote? They're saying that's a problem. The Republican Party is overwhelmingly in favor of
No,
reducing immigrants and protecting the border. So if they're saying you're sending a bunch of gay people here, they're not saying that from a positive aspect.
but you have to think about. I mean, some people like I'm from Florida, and
Okay.
we have Cubans. Cubans,
Yes.
Cuba's different than any other
True.
Latino group,
True.
man. Like
That is true. Yeah.
they they
Well,
they want to be accepted.
the difference is the Hispanics that have fled communism or socialism, Cubans being Fidel Castro, Venezuelans being Hugo Chavez. Those particular groups of Hispanics vote Republican because the Republican Party has successfully branded the Democrats as socialists. So anybody that has fled a socialist government is going to run from the Democratic Party. But the overwhelming number of Hispanics in this country are not Cuban or Venezuelan. Most of them are coming from
And,
Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, and things like that. But
and
I don't
it's
know.
even deeper. It's deeper than that. They believe in they think they're better. I mean, I'm trying to get the word that's used in foreign countries, a caste system. They believe that. They believe that they are basically white. Cubans don't think
Oh,
that they think they relate more to white people than they do to Hispanic people.
wow.
That's how DeSantis, like when people say they can't figure out Florida, it's because of the Cubans in South Florida. They're rather to unite with the blacks and the Haitians. They don't want to do that. That's not cool with them. That's not what they want to be with, because they don't relate to them because of the skin color thing. You know,
I
if you
didn't
go to
know that.
Cuba, a lighter Cuban is way better off than a darker Cuban.
Oh
You go
shit,
into
that's
Brazil,
anywhere
a
around
lot
the
of
world. But that's anywhere around the world. Hell, even if you're in the hood, a light skin, a yellow bone, or a red bone, she gonna do better than a dark skinned chick. That's
but
anywhere.
I mean, it's not gonna play itself out as far as in government. It's not gonna play itself out as far as you
I don't
being able to be attractive to vote, huh?
I disagree with that from every single aspect. In Hollywood, for instance, try to name how many
No.
dark act. I mean,
No,
no matter where you
I,
are in American, here's the point I'm trying to make. No matter where you are in American society, being light is going to be better than being dark for a woman. Now, guys, it's different, but a really dark woman, Hollywood, politics, you name it, lighter women, they
well,
just are viewed more attractive in this country.
that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not. I'm not saying that doesn't happen here, but there, you're not even thought of. It's not even possible. Why are you even trying?
Okay. All right. I don't, okay,
What do you
fair
mean?
enough. I don't know where to go with that, but I mean, I'm just simply saying in this country,
It's
being,
a it's a caste system there. I mean, those countries have a caste system to where those people are thought of as lower people,
well, shit, we
even though
have
they're
the
the
same
same.
system here. We
Even
have the
even
same
though
system here. We
we
just,
have we all check different boxes here, like African American, white, this, that, and other. That's how we figure out.
it
They all
doesn't matter what, but wait, it doesn't matter what box you check, whether you're Asian, whether you're black. if you are lighter, you do better than somebody, even Asians. You look at a Japanese versus a darker Cambodian or a darker Vietnamese, we like the Japanese more. I mean, it's just simple. If you're lighter, you do better, no matter what box you're checking off. Even black
Well, I
people,
mean,
the leaner
you
horns and things like that, it doesn't matter what box you
you
check off.
you're correct. You're correct by saying that, but us as Americans, we don't view them like that. We view Latino as one vote, one people.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
You could
I mean,
say that
I can see a little bit
a
of that.
Cal-
Okay,
what you could do in California for a Mexican guy, you can't do in Florida for a Cuban dude.
all right.
The politics are different.
That
Even
is
though the
true.
situations could very well be the same, they're going to vote different.
All right. All right. I can't speak on Florida politics. I'm not on the ground there. But I do got to move it on, Coach. Appreciate you holding and
All
coming
right.
through, man.
All right.
Good talk.
All right. Take
All
care.
right. Look in the box. And I have no clue other than, I guess, racism. But it's not just whites. I mean, even in our own community, we have treated light-skinned women better. Now, that is something that has developed even among African Americans. When you come to America and you spend a few centuries here, you change. And the reason I'm saying that is because think about some of the criticisms African Americans have. Whether you're suggesting they're lazy, they want free shit, they wear their pants around their ass, they don't go get it. All of the negative things you hear about African Americans in this country, whether you consider them racist or stereotypical. When you get immigrants in 2022 that come from the same areas that the descendants of slavery, like myself, I did the ancestry test. I came from Ghana and Ivory Coast and shit like that. When you get a modern immigrant that comes into America from Ghana, let's say someone came over here right now from Ghana, they don't act anything like African Americans in this country. They don't even want to associate with African Americans oftentimes. They get heavily educated, they become doctors and things like that. So what the hell happened? It's pretty clear that the slave trade, when the African Americans were brought here, something has changed in our mindset that we do not act like people from the country we came from. So if you want to say they wear their pants around their ass, they're lazy, they get involved in gangs and all that, that is a trait that happened as a result of being here. It developed here. Because the same people from the same country, when they're brought here, they don't do that. So something happened to the people that were brought here to change their mindset. Is it capitalism? Is it racism? What the hell is it? We don't know. But something happened to that group of people that was brought here. Because the new groups coming here do not do that, even though they are from the same locations. So anytime somebody say, well, black people all do this, and this. No, because if I go get some more of them now, they're not doing that. So it's not like it's in their blood. It's something you have done when you brought them here. You've changed this group of people. They're acting a different way. To the point where their own ancestors don't want anything to do with them when they come here. You can throw any term in there you want to be. All right, looking at the box. It is the one and only 11 butterflies. It's not racial. Fair enough. But people give a lot of negative connotations to African Americans in this country. And like I said, if you go get another one that is a descendant in that other country, they don't have the same culture. So what you're saying, the cultural aspects of African Americans has been altered negatively by bringing them here.
Well, I actually got on to talk about the other topic, but since
Sure.
talking about this, no, I think it's culturally in the United States, whether it's due to demographic, where you're from, like all these different things, racism, it's a compilation of a lot of different things. But you're right. When you see people come from other countries, they do act differently. They don't try to ingrain themselves, and they do try to excel in education. And I think that
Right.
would definitely be something that makes us pay attention, so we elevate our minorities here. But I actually got in to talk to you about, because it's hard to just type a comment in. First, I just want to say, when it comes to me personally, I don't care who gets married in this country. I don't care if same sex, trans, like whoever gets married. I just wanted to speak on the realm of, and I wanted to use your own logic against you, because you always use the Roe v. Wade as this slippery slope till all of a sudden they're going to take, interracial marriage and they're going to make it so you can't have contraception, blah, blah, blah. We conservative Christians look at it the same way. Like, let's say that you are a company, like I know this big thing with this cake people, but even like adoption, for instance, if a Christian company doesn't want to adopt child to LGBTQ, we now will be faced with a lawsuit. So it's not religious freedoms, like we are trying to push.
Wait, explain. Wait, say that again. If a Christian, wait,
to,
I didn't hear what you said. If a Christian company, repeat that.
So let's say like there's a Christian or even a Jewish or, I mean, I guess, gosh, even Muslim, I think a lot of different religions are against, like whether it's LGBTQ marriage, and they are adoption agency. Now in the past, their religious freedom would allow them to say, we only want to adopt children to the traditional family because that's our religious freedom to believe that. Now, because of this new law, and they wouldn't allow exemptions for religious freedom, they would be possibly faced with a lawsuit. So it's not so much that we don't want gay and lesbian people to be able to get married. It's the slippery slope that now we can't fight for our religious freedom. So that's their argument.
I don't know. If you and your husband are looking to adopt a child, and you're saying I don't want to adopt a gay child, or you saying I don't want to adopt it?
If you're a Christian company, so there's like Beth Israel is like a Beth Israel adoption company, and they're a Christian adoption company, and they have right in their clause that they will only adopt out to a man and a woman. Whereas you have other adoption agencies that will adopt a child to anyone and everyone. But because they stand firm in their religious foundation, they want to be able to have that freedom to do that. And this is taking that away.
So they're trying to find children homes, and they want to maintain the right to be able to discriminate against LGBT couples looking for kids, is what you're saying.
Right.
And so you don't see nothing wrong with that.
Well, there's plenty of the way I look at it is that in their religious beliefs, if we truly are a country that believes in religious freedom, yes, they should be able to say, because of my religious freedom, I don't want to do that. But there's a million other companies that someone could go adopt a child that is completely for it. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying you can't say that you're a country built on religious freedom and then take them away from them.
Here's why I think it's wrong. And what you're saying is very similar to the other caller I had a few callers back, where I said, we're not taking away religious freedoms. We're taking away the religious people rights from violating other people's freedoms. Based on what you're saying, you got a Christian company that finds children's homes, but they don't want to be able to give the child to an LGBT. Basically, you're forcing the child, first of all, to follow what you believe is religion. That's a child. That child might not be Christian. That child may have not. If you want religious freedoms, I'm fine with you having your own freedom. But now you're putting your religion on that child. So it's not
you're
that
raising
you're
them, Parents should be the only ones indoctrinating their child, no one else. Like, I'm not saying that I'm for there should be a teacher bringing religion into the classroom, but they also shouldn't be bringing gender into the classroom. That's the parent's decision. And if a parent adopts a child and they've agreed to take care of that child for the rest of their life, they own that right to be able to indoctrinate them with their religion. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So you're okay with grooming a child to be Christian then?
If it's the parents doing the grooming.
Okay. All right.
Because so what if it's not grooming, it's passing on your faith to your child.
So what if
it's not a teacher's job to do that?
So what if a parent wants to take their elementary school child to a drag queen show? You're okay with that because it's the parent and child?
It's the parent's decision. I don't think it's right, but I'm not here to judge what another parent does with their child.
Okay. Well, based on what you're saying, you're okay with grooming just as long as it's the grooming that you prefer. You prefer.
I'm not okay with grooming. When it comes to religion, you can't call religion grooming. That's passing your faith and your values down to your child. Grooming should only ever be used in the term that it is really meant for, and that's bringing a child into a dangerous place when it comes to certain things I can't say on here. And I don't just mean and that's not to do with LGBTQ. It's all kinds of the bad stuff. That's what grooming is.
Yeah.
You can't use
Well,
grooming in relation to religion. That's passing your
yeah,
faith
see,
on to your child.
I disagree with that. I believe that your grooming is just promoting your beliefs or your ideals, whether they're sexual beliefs or they're religious beliefs. You're exposing your child to Christianity because you want them to grow up believing what you believe. Somebody else exposes their children to LGBT activities because they want their child to feel like that's okay and that's what they want. I think they're both grooming, but because we favor religion, we don't want to call that grooming. But you're doing the exact same thing. You're just calling one of them something different.
But it's still the parents' right to raise their child with the values they want to instill in them. It's not a teacher's right. So if you
Okay?
want, I guess one could argue that if a child wanted to, what I think is terrible, groom their child to certain things, I mean, it's still the parent's right, but there are certain laws. And if you're grooming a child in a dangerous way, that's one thing. Not if you're just telling them, accept everyone. I don't consider that grooming. I consider that being a parent who's saying we're put on this earth to accept everyone else. And not, we're not here to judge. Like, I don't judge LGBT. It's not my place to judge.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you from a standpoint that it's not a teacher's place to be. If you got a health class and you're explaining LGBT issues such as there is a higher likelihood of certain sexually transmitted diseases, particularly that come from anal sex because there's more blood. If you want to teach that, which is an actual scientific fact, I'm fine. But I do agree that sexuality in, say, a math class or something like that, it doesn't have any place. But I would also, on the same side of the coin, say neither does Christianity. So, in
I
my
agree.
opinion, yeah, prayer in schools, in my opinion, is just as out of place as sexuality.
Absolutely. If you want your child to be raised with Christian values, send them to a Christian school. I'm not advocating for prayer in school. I think a child should feel safe to pray before they eat their lunch if they want to, but I don't think teachers should be indoctrinating kids with religion. Absolutely not.
Okay. All right, and then I don't think we're totally we're not like too far off on this. I just wanted to find out what your idea of, saying that religious freedoms in this country are being banned. But based on what you said, I don't see how, if you are a Christian, I don't see what freedoms that you're really losing, other than the freedoms to promote your Christianity on someone else that is not you. But as long as if you want to observe holidays, if you want to stop right now and get on your knees and pray to God, there's nothing stopping you from doing any of your religious freedoms. It's only when you start telling somebody else that they have to live their life a certain way because of your religion, then it's really you changing their lives with your freedoms.
Correct. But I'm not advocating for me. Like I told you, I came in here saying I'm just going to tell you from the perspective of what I believe the Republican Party, when they voted against this, it's because they look at it like a slippery slope. Once you take away like maybe a company that wants to be able to build their company policies and values and on their faith, they now are not going to be able to do that. Like I said, I don't care who gets married in this country. I think anyone should be able to get married and pass their, money or whatever, their legacy on to their significant other. I don't give a crap, but I'm just saying they look at it like a slippery slope toward
Well,
losing.
yeah, and I can see that, because if you are a corporation and you want to promote your Christian values on employees and people you hire, once again, that is you using your religion to change the lifestyles of other people. So that's why I keep saying you're not losing your religious freedoms. You're losing your freedom to push your religion on other people. Because that's what you're talking about, a corporation. Maybe I don't want to do this, or maybe we want to do, but it's all, you're forcing somebody else to adhere to your beliefs. Once again, even as a corporation, you can pray,
But
you can go to
as a
church.
corporation, you should have the right to do that. It's your company. So, I mean, I'm not saying we don't do that. I own businesses. We don't discriminate against anyone. But when you guys are the same people who say you should be able to take speech off of a platform, well, they're a private company. They have a right to do that. But then when we're talking about this topic, you immediately say, oh, well, they're a private company. They don't have any right to discriminate. Well, you just said they could cancel a conservative for saying something you didn't agree with.
Well,
But
let
now all
me
of a
give you
sudden they don't want to you know, so it's just like
Let
you
me
pick
give you
and
your
choose
example.
your arguments.
Let me give you your example and you tell me what do you think. Let's say a company like Walmart, a big company, all of a sudden was being ran by a Muslim. I want all the men in my company to wear turbans and all the women must cover up in burqas. Do you believe Walmart should be able to exercise their religious freedom as a corporation to do that? So now all Walmart associates that are females have to wear full burqas and the guys have to have turbans.
Absolutely not. But we are not a country built on that. We're not a country built that you can impose that religious faith. I'm just simply saying, in the realm of adoption, if a company is, if it's a church-based faith organization and they want to promote traditional values, they should have the right to do that. It's a church. They're exempt from things that a corporation making money are. So
Okay.
it's different than a corporation trying to impose their Christian faith on someone. Now we can, like me and my husband own businesses. Everybody knows that we are Christian, but we don't push our Christian values on our employees because that's against the law.
Well,
But when
but you
it's a
just said,
church, but
yeah,
when
but you
it's a
just said
church,
corporations, you said corporations should be able to do that. That's why I gave you that example.
no, I don't think that they should tell someone they have to dress as. I mean, well, you could, I guess, implement
It's
a
religion.
uniform if you wanted to, but no, I don't think that they have the right to tell women they have to cover up from head to toe. But I mean, I think there's a level of what a company can get away with because they have, you know, different uniforms or laws in place, but they can't infringe on someone's, you know, personal religious freedoms either. There has to be, but when it comes to churches, there needs to be exemptions for their
Okay.
religious freedom.
I'm fine with churches having an exemption to a point, but I just brought the corporation up because you said, you know, if you don't want to do this, you want to be able to exercise your religious freedoms as a corporation. I'm just saying this because I believe that we're okay when it's the Christian companies doing this, but when these other religions start doing the same thing, we're not going to be okay with it.
But the thing is, as a company, you can't discriminate. So a church is different than a company. As a company, I can't discriminate against someone who's any race or any LGBTQ, nor would I ever. But a church is going to run differently because their whole thing is based on their faith. They're not the same. They're usually 501c3. They're not going to be the same. A corporation, you have to, when you're hiring employees under discrimination, you know, different, we have laws that regulate our business. It's not the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
as a church who is exempt from that.
Yeah, I don't, you know, when it comes to churches, I don't think there's a whole lot of people pushing. Appreciate the hat mustache there, Zion. Thank you. I don't think there's a whole lot of major issues in regards to churches losing their religious freedoms like you're talking about. Because you're talking about
That's what this
adoption.
bill just did. That's what you need to look at. That's why
What
conservatives
did
are
they
pushing
lose?
against it.
What did they lose? What
So
did it, what
now
religious?
let's say, so now there's, because they wouldn't allow the exemptions, because they even asked to have an exemption for that specific thing so that we wouldn't be faced with, or when I say we, I just mean, let's just keep using the same analogy of a church who is an adoption agency. Now, if an LGBTQ couple went to them and said, I want to adopt a child through you, when there's many other companies that they could go to, but they choose to go here. And they said, we only want to adopt children to the nuclear family, a husband and wife, then they could possibly face a lawsuit based on this bill. Whereas
Okay.
prior to this, there was an exemption for religious freedom
But I
for
mean,
churches,
I get what you're saying.
501c3s, anyone like that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but in my opinion, that's a whole lot of fuss over something that is very I mean, how many gay couples are going to churches to adopt kids? I get your point makes sense, but they're rejecting this law based on something that is very, very rare and unlikely to happen. The last place a gay couple would go when they want to adopt a kid is a church, and you would know that church is not in favor of you. So to denounce this whole law based on something that would very rarely happen, to me seems disingenuous. We'll throw this in there as an excuse to vote against it, even though this rarely ever happens. But we'll use that as our excuse. That's what that looks like to me.
But you'll say the same thing when you talk about Roe v. Wade, because that's your, you'll sit here and tell us all, like, because I watched your lives a million times, and you'll say they're going to take interracial marriage. Justice Thomas is married to a white woman. That makes absolutely
Yeah.
no sense. But you'll sit right on here and say that's the slippery slope till taking away interracial marriage.
Well,
That's never
that's
going
a
to
fair
happen.
point.
But you sit here yourself and use that argument against us. So
I'll
I'm just
give
using it back against you.
I'll give you, and that's a fair point. I'll give you a response why that is happening. And that is because before Roe versus Wade was reversed, the right kept telling us over and over again, it is ridiculous that you guys believe that we are going to try to roll back Roe versus Wade. It's been enacted for 50 years. You guys are fear mongering. That's never going to happen. What you're saying about rolling back interracial marriage sounds exactly like what they were saying about Roe versus Wade. That is why, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm telling you that is why that's happening. Huh?
Like, it's just absurd to me. That's a fear mongering. I mean,
well,
I understand what you're saying, but you always argue that like abortion's illegal everywhere. They just brought it back to the state level.
I'm just telling you, the rolling back of Roe versus Wade, we were called fear mongers, and everything you said about how ridiculous the interracial argument, they said the exact same stuff about Roe versus Wade, even up to and including the three justices that Trump appointed, were also saying that's already been litigated. You know, we're not going to do anything about that. So you might be 100% correct. But I'm just simply telling you where that's coming from, is that people have heard it's fear mongering. There's no need to worry about this. Is not going to happen. People have heard that already and seeing that it can go the other way despite what they're telling you.
Correct. Well, Christians are feeling a pushback against our faith right now, and they're looking at this as the same snowball effect. This is the first thing, the slippery slope, till all of a sudden you're not allowed to practice religious freedom at all. So I'm just simply using your logic against you. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Like I said, at the end of the day, I just feel that there should be an exemption when it comes to churches, 501c3s that are faith-based. I don't think that as an employee, anyone should be able to discriminate against anyone. I'm not for that. I'm just for when it comes to churches, 501c3s.
You think that there's a possibility, even from a stepping stone aspect, that Christians will be potentially, if the liberals were in charge, the liberals had a full majority, you believe that the liberals would make it so you couldn't practice any kind of Christianity at all? You said so you couldn't practice religious freedoms. You think
I don't live in fear. I don't live in fear. So in my world, God always wins. So I don't care about fear mongering tactics. So none of that bothers me. I'm just simply trying to tell you why conservatives would push against that bill. I'm not saying that's how I live my life, because I don't live in fear of losing my Christian faith. However, yes, that is the slippery slope that we start to see happen.
I don't know. I mean, I was raised Christian. Most of my family are still Christian, and I don't see any smidgen of hint that they're losing any rights at all, other than what you're pointing out. Your right to impose Christianity on a child you're giving up for adoption or something like that.
You don't see it just on TikTok. So if someone is living in their Christian values, but they were to go against, to say that they don't agree with some of the things, they are canceled, blocked, kicked off this platform. You're not allowed to even say that you're against some of these things, because that's considered discrimination, when really isn't that discriminating against them and their Christian beliefs?
But that's exactly what I'm talking about. When you say you want to be able to practice your religious freedoms, it's always about telling somebody else what they're doing. Their lifestyle is wrong, what they believe is. You're not being stopped from doing what you want to do. You're being stopped from telling somebody else to not live their life. So your freedoms is really being masked as a ability to prevent somebody else from doing something. But like I say, anything Christian that you want to do for yourself, nobody's stopping you from doing it. They're stopping you from discriminating and treating other people certain ways based on your religion.
But disagreeing is not the same as discriminating. So I'm not going to tell anyone how to live their life. Like anyone, my problem is when you start to tell me I have to accept it. I will respect anyone that wants to do anything, but that doesn't mean that I have to accept that I think it's right. The problem is we haven't learned in this like live and let live world. It's live and let, oh, you have to accept what I'm doing. No, I don't. We live in the free country, which is America. I don't have to accept that. So, I can respect you, but I don't have to accept it based on my freedom of religion.
Okay, so if
you're telling me I no longer have that ability. because then all of a sudden
that's what I'm
I'm a
saying.
horrible
That's
person.
what I'm saying. If you're a teacher and I show up on the first day of class with my kid and my husband, and you don't accept that we should be married, and you don't want to call us Mr. and Mrs. or whatever because
That's
you don't
different.
accept it.
I would never disrespect what anyone is. If two people are married, I'm simply saying if someone walks into the classroom and they tell me that they identify as a cat, I'm going to think, okay, this kid identifies as a cat. I don't go, oh, look, there's a cat in my classroom. So it's
Okay,
like you can identify as whatever you want, but you can't force me to see you that way.
all right. Okay. To me, it's discriminating, but you see it as a different term or a
No, but
different
they're
phrase.
trying to force me to see what they see. I don't have to do that. I can respect it because I'm a respectful human, but I'm not all of a sudden going to see them as something that they're not.
So what if they say you can't force me to see the God that you're demanding rights for? You're
I'm
a
not
Christian, you
forcing
see God.
anyone. But I'm not forcing anyone to see my God. If you do, fantastic. But I want to be able to see my God and not feel like I'm going to get picked apart and told that I'm a horrible human because I believe why do you care about my faith? At the end of the
Yeah.
day, my faith, the only reason someone would want to tear your faith down is if they feared it or were envious of the fact that you had it. Otherwise, my faith shouldn't matter to you whatsoever at all.
How about a response that says this? I don't care about who you believe in, and you don't give a damn about who I marry. How about
I
that?
don't give a damn who anyone marries.
Okay. All right. If we could have that, we'd be good.
Well, we have that. We've had
No,
that
we
for 10
don't have
years.
that.
Like,
No, we don't
marriage,
have that.
this has
That's
been
why we
legal for
just
10 years. Obama legalized marriage of same sexes. All they did now is they've redone this so they can celebrate it, but it's now exempt of any religious freedom.
So, what did Clarence Thomas mean, in your opinion, when he said we need to reevaluate the Marriage Act? What do you think he was talking about when he said that?
I don't know. I honestly don't know that he said that, and I haven't looked into that, so I don't want to speak on something I don't know about.
All right, fair enough. All right, I got to move it on. Good talk.
Right.
Good talk. Come on back through. You
Thank
came
you.
with your
All
A
right.
game
I always
today.
appreciate you.
All right, you came with your A game today. Good talk. All right, folks. Look at it. I do gotta move it on and terminate the live. I am on lunch break. I'm a little bit over. I appreciate you guys. Always, you could be anywhere you want to be on TikTok. The fact you rolling with your boy, 40,000 likes. Certainly a good show today. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. But I do gotta get back to work. So, till then, it's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Appreciate you coming through.